This is an introduction to how to operate the torch height control and the BurnTables CNC table. First, you're going to want to turn on the table, click reset, and then using your jaw keys, which are Y, X, Z, to get it to a point where the tip is barely touching the material and that it's at the 0 point of your drawing, which my 0 point for this drawing is the bottom left. Now what I'll do is come up here, 0x, 0y, 0z, and a Z is really important because this is what your rapid clearance reference is. If you want it to clearance higher, always make sure that the Z is referenced and zeroed on your highest part of your material. Okay, now to set up the torch height control, and once you set this up, usually you don't have to adjust it as long as no one touches or adjusts these knobs. These knobs stay at their settings, and it doesn't matter if you turn off the machine, they'll keep their settings. So first, what you want to do is turn off your plasma cutter, and then with everything zeroed on your BurnTable software here, make sure your torch height control is on, and you're going to press cycle start. Now what the machine's going to do is going to go to the first point, come down to touch the metal, come up and stop. Now because you zeroed your Z, you're going to get a distance of how high it's off the material. Well, if you need to adjust it, you can always turn it to the right or left for your pierce height, and that adjusts the height. But to get after you adjust it, say I want to adjust it a little higher, all I do is hit stop, rewind G-code, and cycle start again. Let it go through its process of going down to touch the material, come back up, and then you can see your adjustment. So I went from 0.09 to 0.207, and really it depends on how thick you're going to cut with your plasma cutter. 0.2, 0.18 seems like it's a good setting, but you can adjust this on the fly. So during the cut, if you notice that your tip is getting really close to your material, you can just simply adjust this knob a little bit to the right or left while it's cutting, and it will automatically adjust it while the program's running. So here I'm going to hit stop, and once I have my torch height control or your pierce height set, I'm coming to my torch height control, and you want to find the middle ground of the movement of this knob. So if you go all the way left and all the way right, that's going to be middle ground, and that will get you a close proximity of the part or the location of the knob to start off with for adjustment. I know this machine's going to go about right there, but basically after you start cutting, you can adjust this to the right to increase the torch height, left to decrease it. Every plasma cutter is going to be different, so you might be closer to the end of the movement towards the right or the left. Don't turn the knob all the way left or right, because that will ignore the signal, and the torch height control won't let the computer move. Here's your pierce delay, off, 0.5, 1, and 1.5 seconds. I don't really like to use it because, in my opinion, the plasma cutter works better when you have bigger lead-ins and lead-outs for thicker material. It keeps the slag out of the tip of the plasma cutter. Here's your anti-dive speed. What this does is when your feed rate that you set in your sheet cam drops below 85%, it ignores the torch height control. This comes in real handy for your corners and your holes. You can adjust this on the fly by just clicking it, typing in what you need, and enter, So 90% means that it will, as long as the machine is over 100 inches per minute or 90 inches per minute, it will do what the torch height control wants it to do. Under 90 inches per minute, it's going to ignore it. So when it slows down for the corners, it doesn't dive the torch into the material. If you're doing intricate cuts and things of that nature, you might want to have to set this at a lower number. So here it's going to ignore the torch height control if it drops below 85 inches per minute, because that's 85% of 100. So that's the basic use of the torch height control. Now when you start the machine, you can do a dry run by turning the torch height control off, rewinding the code, and cycle start, and the machine will go through a dry run, and you can see what the machine is doing here. Say that you stop the program after it cuts this hole right here, and then you want to make sure that the consumable or the holes could get cut straight. So you lift the torch out of the way and then move the torch out of the way, check the consumable on that nature, but you want to get it back to that hole. Well, all you have to do is click on the code up here, go to the M5 or M9, M5 if you have an engraver that is represented. You see how that line lights up, or that rapid travel to that next hole? You go to the M9, M5 above that, set next line, and hit cycle start, and the machine will go back to that next line. This is helpful when you're trying to rewind or go to or skip a part on a layout or things of that nature. So the machine's running right now. Torch height control is off right now, so it's not going through the process of going down, touching the material, going back up. If you don't have the torch height control on and have your plasma on, it's going to do the same thing as it's doing now, but it's going to fire the torch about ½ inch above the material. That's an indication that you don't have your torch height control on. I can hit stop here. And that's basics of how to use the torch height control on the BurnTables CNC machine. Thank you.